Hello and welcome back with me, Admiral, joining me back on Star Trek Fleet Command as always. So this episode today is going to be heading back to what we used to do, which was called Ship Talks. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about the Klingon Federation, or Klingon, essentially Empire as they were. So yeah, we're going to be talking about them predominantly. We're going to be talking about their ships, and basically what type of classes of ships they have. Obviously, we've got a few in game, as you can see on the screen at the moment. We've got the D3, the Bortus, the Burrell, and the D4 class. These have been given specific names. I will cover what specific ships I believe they are, or what class of ships that I believe they are. I think they do mention them though. If you go to the detail, does it mention in the stats? At the bottom, there we go. So it gives you a little bit of sort of background with regards to the actual ships themselves, but it doesn't actually say what they are. So we will discuss a little bit of what they actually are. And like I say, there's there's four that you can get up until level 34, and then beyond level 34 you can obviously get a few others which we'll come across as well. I can't personally see them because I'm not up to level 39 yet, but we will come across them shortly. So let's switch over to so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers before we do crack on. As always, keep hitting that subscribe button and helping the channel out grow. If you want to consider becoming a patron, then link is down below. That supports me obviously massively doing content, as I currently don't get paid for doing this, so that will support me directly. So in advance, thank you for that as well. So let's crack on with the rest of this episode. So if I get rid of that screen, so moving over to the fandom page, which is where we'll find most of what we want to talk about today, which is kind of useful. So obviously we've got the category in this sense is going to be the Klingon starship classes. So we've got a few pictures of a few, obviously the more iconic ones. So we've got Klingon Bird of Prey on the top left. We've got the D7. We've got I'm going to butcher these names, Vorcha class. We got the Katinga class. We got the Netvar class, Klingon Warbird, which is the most iconic one. You got a D5 class, and then you got the Klingon Bird of Prey in the 22nd century. So to run through, the Klingon Bird of Prey, as we know it, is essentially the Burrell. It's basically the Burrell within the Star Trek universe. That's essentially what it is. The D7 is your is your Bortus. For all intents and purposes, it's basically your Bortus. It's very similar to the Klingon Bear, the Warbird as well. It's a very, very similar ship. You can't really see much about it, but it's a very, very similar ship. They are very similar in nature. But the Bortus is essentially this ship here, which weirdly enough is classed as a cruiser scout ship, which is quite interesting as well. So this was used by the Klingon Empire and the Romulan Star Empire as well. So it was used also by the Romulans. I believe that was later on in its career path, where the information I'm reading here is just on the right hand side. As you can see here, it's just all there. So they were used both by both factions. If we head back to then go to the Klingon Warbird, see if there's any more information about that one. Again, it's very, very similar to obviously the Bortus or the D7. I believe it's called, yeah, D7. And then there's a few others. So if we scroll down anyway, there's a few other different types of classes. So they have a Burrell class, which covers an array of different things. We'll click on the Burrell. So this is the Burrell, which is, like I say, which is also known as the Bird of Prey. Arguably, I would have preferred them to call it the Bird of Prey within the game, because that's what everyone knows it as. They know it as a Klingon Bird of Prey. But instead, they've gone with its name, which is obviously the Burrell class itself. This was used by the Klingons and the Klingon Cardassian alliance. So this was used by both factions, which is very interesting. It was classed as a warship slash cruiser. So in the game, we obviously have it as a explorer type, which is why I find the game very weird sometimes, because obviously they have three designations of interceptor, explorer, and battleship. But the problem is a lot of these ships are classed as cruisers. So what category does that fall into? Obviously, the game calls it an explorer, whereas a lot of the cruisers within the Federation, their ships that are Federation, a lot of them are interceptors, the cruisers, and even some of them are actually explorers as well. So they can sort of, when they say cruiser, that sort of can be either. And it's down to the characteristics of the ship, I guess, to classify what type of ship or what it does as a role. So as you can see, this variant is a scout, raider, patrol ship, and a cruiser. So yeah, there is different styles of it. We're not going to go into into massive detail about it, but the current rate of it. So at the moment, as you can see here, so the speed is warp 8. It can do warp 9.8 with a slingshot effect, which is pretty damn good for a vessel of its age. It's got 5 decks on board, and it was obviously produced between 2280 and 2380, so 100 years of production. This ship seen service, or active service. That's very, very good. That is an incredibly long service length, 100 years. And then yeah, it goes into the different types of the Burrell class itself. The Burrell class tops out at the Bortus Bear class. So it tops out at this one, which is a 23rd century ship. It's also a Burrell class ship, or comes under that designation. This is obviously the latest or the most sort of futuristic version of the ship. So ships like this would be very interesting to see in game. Like 23rd century. I mean, we had the Discovery. Yes, the Discovery obviously goes into the future, and we don't currently have that ship in game. We have the old version of it. However, having ships like this, having a 22nd century and the mid 23rd, for example, for this one, having these types of ships in game would be very, very interesting. As you can see here, we do have these in game. So this is a Klingon Bird of Prey. We do have this in the game. However, you can't obviously you can't use it. It's not a ship that you can obtain, but you do have to fight against it with regards to certain, obviously, points on the map and certain systems in the map. Then you have to obviously face off against these types of ships. And this is a 23rd century ship. So to have the Bortus, the Bortas Bear class, having that in the game, technically speaking, is not so bad. I think that's actually its own class. I don't think that's a Burrell class. I think the first three, or the Klingon Bird of Prey, up to the mid 23rd century, they are Burrell, and then the Bortus Bear is its own class of ship. But again, be very interesting to see. And then we've got a few others as well. We've got the going back to the top. So let's have a little look at these. So we've got the Vorcha class, which is a very interesting design. It's sort of a hybrid of a Bortus and a sort of an extension to it, I guess. It's a very, very interesting design ship. It's got the same bridge layout as a Bortus, which is very interesting to see. Clearly, obviously, the Klingons go with this style of bridge layout, which is each faction has their own sort of style, which is perfectly fine. It's pretty decent. So this one was active in the 24th century to the 26th century. So this is a very advanced ship. It has 9.5 plus warps capability. It's 26 plus decks, with obviously an array of armament and defenses. So yeah, having things like this in the game would, like I say, be able to add a lot to the game as well. And you could add factions like the Cardassian Alliance, and this ship could clearly be used with them as well. So it'd be very interesting to see whether that would come to Star Trek Fleet Command and stuff like that. So I don't know. Who knows? If we can push for stuff like this, then it might actually happen. We don't know. So just a few side shots, aft look, and side shot profile. So it's a very cool looking ship. It's a very capable ship as well, which is obviously always nice to see. And then going down, we got the Topanga class. Obviously, we know this one. This is in the game. It's the more advanced version of the, or more advanced looking version of the Bortus battleship. So going to that. So yeah, this one was 2270 to 2370, as you can see there. Speed is only warp 5, however, so it's very, very slow. It is a battle cruiser, not a battleship. So the game has got the designation of that slightly wrong, but it is a battle cruiser rather than being a battleship. And yeah, it's a very capable, it's basically an upscaled version of the D7. D7 class being obviously all of these. There was different variants of the D7 as well, so we'll click onto one there. These are classed as battle cruisers as well, or alternatively scout ship, battle cruiser scout ship. So they are slightly smaller, and they have a lot of capabilities. So yeah, obviously this is the Bortus class as we know, and that is it's obviously used quite extensively. This is 2257 to 2370, so a very similar time frame it seems to be as the Katinga. So yeah, it's virtually the same time frame. So it's quite surprising that one is classed as a much more advanced capable ship than the other, even though they were used at the same time frame. There is another version of the D7 class. It's very hard to see, but this one is the 2256 variant. It's very hard to see and make out. I don't know if you'll be able to make this out. I'll see if I can move it on the screen for you so you can actually see it a little bit better. But yeah, it's a very interesting looking ship. Something like this into the game would be very cool to see as well. Yeah, I think it would add a lot of dynamic to the game itself. So I don't know. Who knows? Might have to. We'll wait out and see what happens. They might add new ships in the future. They may not, obviously, but we'll see. That one's the mid 23rd century. You got the sarcophagus type as well, which we all know, which is obviously a new ship type into the game. And then there's a few others that are just random bits and bobs within their sort of fleet as such. But it seems to me that most of the Klingon vessels are either some form of cruiser or battle cruiser or scout cruiser or a ship like the Burrell class, like the Bear de Preys that obviously are successors of that. The different types of Bear de Preys, they are multi-role ships essentially. They are classed as cruisers, but they are multi-role ships. They can do scouting, they can do raiding, they can do all different things, as you can see that in the game as well. In game you do get a lot of that type of stuff. The new type of ships, so the D3 and D4, which is what are in the latest Star Trek universe, they are obviously not classed here. The D4 is, D3 is not classed here. The D4, which is in the latest Star Trek array of films, so that is in here as well. So this was used from 2259, and it was just a patrol ship. It wasn't anything special. It was just a patrol ship to guard the home world of Kronos, I believe it was. If I'm wrong, I'm saying that. I think it's Kronos. So yeah, this was literally there to just defend the home world. So yeah, to have her as an interceptor in game probably sort of indicates why it's so rubbish. It's not an incredibly good ship, and it only is obviously is armed with 2 torpedo launchers as well, which in game I don't know if that equates to in game as well because I don't currently have the ship. But yeah, there's loads of others though. So there's D5 classes as well, which is classed as a battle cruiser or tanker. This is a tanker slash battle cruiser. Again, another ship that they could add into the game that would be very interesting. But yeah, with regards to the Klingons, they seem to go, like I say, more towards the warship or cruiser slash battle cruiser style ships. Hopefully this has been a little bit insightful with regards to the different types of ships that they use and future ships that potentially I would love to see them in the game. Please let me know your thoughts on the ships and which type of ships you want to see in the game with regards to the Klingon Empire. If you obviously have Federation or Romulan views, please find the video which is in my playlist for ship talks. Find a video and comment underneath them specific videos for whichever faction you want to see the ships in, and I will have a look into them and give my viewpoint in a future video. So like I say, this has been longer than normal video, but ship talks are normally slightly longer. Don't forget to consider subscribing to the channel, giving the bell notification a hit, because by doing that, obviously that helps me out massively. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with regards to the bell notification, I will quickly show you what I'm talking about. So when it comes to the channel, I might not be able to actually see the bell, but we'll see if we can see the bell. So when it comes to the channel, if you go onto the actual channel itself, as you can see here, we're on a channel with 838 views. When you scroll over, there's normally a bell icon round about here. You might not be able to see it on screen. Round about here, there's normally a bell icon round about there. Make sure, or sometimes it's here, make sure to hit that bell notification. That tells you when I do post a video live. And then alternatively, you can go to the top of your page, and if you hit this bell notification here, if you hit this, this will give you, obviously, you can update your notifications there and obviously turn them on. Other than that, don't forget to consider becoming a patron to support the channel in a more direct manner. I will see you for the stream tomorrow, which will be at 2100 hours as always. Until then, goodbye for now. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely night, whatever it is for you. Bye-bye.